another episode of Gyan Current Affairs and News Analysis. So let us look into today's 6 topics I have with me. The first is dealing about the Hindi language used in India and certainly in the bills which has been formulated, especially in the criminal bills and such. Then pilot fatigue in India. Now this is not a news which we actually see in newspapers, but this article has been exclusively written by a pilot himself, stating about the problem that is happening in the aviation industry. Then prelims, we have the driest August ever, dealing with the rainfall patterns and irrigation. New frictionless credit system that has been introduced by the RBI. We have the acoustic side channel attacks, which is actually increasing because of the developments in the artificial intelligence. And we have a bad news. Luna 25 has been crash landed in news in August 20. So let us look at the first topic of criminal law bills. So you see here, there was 3 laws which has been changed. We have the Indian Penal Code, which is renamed as Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. We have the Criminal Procedure Code that has been renamed as Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, and we have the Indian Evidence Act, Bharatiya Saksha Bill. The problem here is that as myself a South Indian, I felt like I couldn't understand these terminologies. I didn't know what these acts mean because they were prominently in English, in Hindi and Hindi terminology, because of which there are many people, especially South Indians, who are unfamiliar and they are feeling they can't pronounce these names. That is what this entire article is talking about, how the upcoming bills in India, they are predominantly changed in the name of Hindi, paving a way for majoritarianism of Hindi language compared to other regional languages in India. So if you are looking through this article, we have an article in our constitution, article 348, which exclusively states that any act, any law that has been or authoritative text that has been passed out by the parliament or the state legislature should be in English language. But if you are seeing this bill here, the interior content of these bills might be in English, but the namings is in Hindi, which is actually a violation of the article 348 which is given in this act. Now if you are looking into the long history of the language issues in India, we know language is a very sensitive issue in India. After the partition, for the reorganization of state, we had 3 committees and all the committees stating that we should not focus on the language base of reorientation but look into administrative. But with the state reorganization finally coming into the base of language, we had the first state created on a language basis, that is the Andhra state, then Andhra Pradesh coming up. So the issues of language has been going on in India for a long. So in India, language is a very heated debate. We don't have a national language in India. We have official languages like the Hindi and the English. So it states that unless a resolution has been passed by the different state legislator for the removal of English and for the upliftment of Hindi, English shall remain the official language until such resolution is passed. So as I have told you, in the state reorganization, even we have used the languages based kind of reorganization. Now this shows that linguistic differences has deeply intertwined with the identity, culture and the existence of a state itself. So language, as I have told you, is an integral part of the culture right now, and we are dealing with languages between, there is a cliff between Hindi and other non-Hindi states and regions like that. Because if you are looking into Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, we are totally different. We are disconnected from majority of the Hindi usage in India. So because of which there is a lot of issues going on, especially with language. So what is this majoritarianism? So if you are looking into long line of history, there has been a lot of attempts made by the government to actually introduce a lot of Hindi in India. If you are looking in Madhya Pradesh, the textbooks related to that of medical, even that was actually made into Hindi. Hindi based textbooks was released. But the problem, there is 2 category of problems here. There are people who benefit from Hindi. There are people who doesn't benefit from Hindi and who focus a lot of in English. So because of which there is actually a shift between it. So there is a lot of anxiety of non-Hindi speakers and they find a root a lot of it. So if you are looking, the government has issued Hindi only forms in public undertaking, especially in the case of Indian Railways and banks, where they have released form exclusively in Hindi. The problem is that you might understand the Hindi, but as a South Indian, I could say that I have problem with reading. I have problem with understanding the wordings of it. I have problem with actually speaking. So these are some kind of problems as a South Indian I face. So if you are looking collectively, the South Indians' issuance of a Hindi only forms affects a lot of people. The original draft of NEP, National Education Policy 2020, also actually had provisions which can be seen as an attempt to impose Hindi. Now, the Union Home Minister actually exclusively talked about imposing Hindi in India, linking that the language of Hindi is the only way to unite the total whole of India. He stated this in 2019. So, these are some of the attempts that the government has made through various public policies, through the policies brought out, through the speeches of ministers as such. Where they have actually formulated the problems of Hindi. They are actually an attempt to privilege India's most spoken regional language, that is Hindi, compared to other regional languages, Malayalam, Tamil, Odisha, Bengali, etc. So, the issue is not just about language but also about the culture, because everything, as I have told you, the language is actually intertwined with the state, the culture, the identity, the diversity and the respect of the people here. So, the legal position of the country is that English shall continue to remain as an official language unless it has been totally accepted by all the state legislators in the country. So, if you are going beyond the article, there is also another thing which you are saying, changing the name, that is actually mentioned. As you know, judiciary uses English predominantly for all the case, for all the legislation, for the judgments, for all the laws they have, everything is in English. And the judges has been actually provisioned with the uptake of the constitution and judiciary in the case of English. So, it is important that these provisions, like these three laws which I have told you about, these are very laws that is required in the case of maintaining law and order, and that also to make judgment in the case of judiciary. So, it is important that these laws must be in English, so that there could be ease in making of decision, especially in the case of judiciary as well. So, if you are going beyond, I would like to say something else about this. There is an article 351 in the constitution which actually talks about directive for the development of Hindi language. We saw in article 348 that all the text or the bills should be in English, especially in the case of parliament and state legislature. But this act talks about the promotion of Hindi language in India. So, as per this, there is actually Official Languages Act of 1963, under which a committee of parliamentary official language has been formulated in 1976 for the promotion of Hindi in India. They actually examine the grievance and suggestions related to the use of Hindi languages, and they formulate policies. Now, they are a joint committee consist of 30 members, 20 from the Lok Sabha, that is Lok Sabha, and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. Now, this committee has been instrumental in promoting the use of official language in India. This committee actually submits the report directly to the president, and president puts the report in front of the parliament. So, that is the whole procedure that has been formulated. Remember the two articles, article 348 and 351. You normally don't learn this in the polity, like you won't revise it, but it's important that when it comes to a very topic like language, it's important that you actually know this both articles. The article 351 exclusively deals with the development of Hindi language in India. Now, let's move on to next topic. We have the pilot fatigue in India. So, this article I will be dividing into three. I will be telling you the history of accidents in the aviation industry. I will tell you about the problems that the pilots face and what should be done by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Now, history of accidents. If I am telling you the major accidents which actually became a turning point for the aviation industry of India is the 1976 disaster, in which just after the takeoff, the flight actually crash landed. 95 people lost their lives, and the last words of the pilot was that I was sleepy. The pilot was actually feeling sleepy. You might feel that the statement is very irresponsible, but if you are looking into other such cases, like there was a pilot, like if you are looking into the past, there has been reports of pilots dying because of Indian pilots dying because of cardiac arrest. So, if you are looking a pilot of Indian origin flying in airlines in West Asia has died of cardiac arrest. Another employee, another pilot, just before his flight, Nagpur flight, he actually fainted and died of cardiac arrest. Another incident involving a pilot on a Latin American airline flight from Miami to San Diego, Chile and all, where the co-pilot had to take control because the other pilot, the main pilot, has actually died. 10 years ago, another Indian pilot had passed away just after he stepped out of his simulator from after training a batch. So, a lot of pilots has been met with accident. Many pilots has died with cardiac arrest. So, if you are looking like this, his statement was feeling sleepy. Do you even feel that irresponsible, or you feel that these pilots are so overworked that the body can't take it anymore and they are dying through cardiac arrest and such? So, if you are looking into such problems that has been faced by the pilots, The pilots are actually, if you are looking like, we might take odd hours flight, like 12:30 night flight, 1:30 night flight, and you might stay there. It's the easiest way because we can reach there in time, there is not too much crowds, and we actually can enter the city early. But the problem here is that you have to look from the point of view of the pilot. We may take rest from a house so that we will sleep early so that we can actually take that flight. But what if these pilots are working from the morning and then they are actually made to take that flight at the night? That pilot is actually responsible for the lives of 200 plus person. That pilot has been working since the morning. He's already exhausted, he's already tired, and he's already overworked. And then he's actually made to take the flight at night. He is actually responsible for the lives of 200 plus passengers. Now these conditions are such which actually cause health problems to the person's pilot himself and put the lives of other passengers at risk as well. So that is what the pilots are actually made to fly two kind of flight. We have the Boeing flight and we have the Caravelle flight. That's two separate flight. Like for domestic we have like 2-seater, 3-seater, like 2 rows, and then for the international flights we have like 3 rows. Like we have a 4-row seat in the middle and 3 rows at the end. 3 seaters at the end. So there are different types of flight, and each pilot has to be trained perfectly in that kind of aircraft itself. But the problem here is that a pilot is actually made to take handler another kind of flight, because of which there is problem on him controlling the flight as such. Then overworking, as I have told you, exhausted, they feel fatigue, they feel sleep deprived, because they are made to handle 3 to 4 to 5 flights in a single day itself. Then profit minded air business. So if the flight is actually landed or in a state, they don't kind of make any profits. What they need is more passengers. What they need is more fly routes. What they need is more business. So because of which a profit minded business companies make the pilots actually work more. And the co-pilot, like you see, if you are going in a flight, you need 2 pilots. One will be the main pilot who will be handling, and the next will be a co-pilot. If something happens to the main pilot, the co-pilot will take over. But the problem here is that the co-pilots are not trained enough. They are mainly trainees who are actually being with the main pilot. They learn through it or they train. If something happens to the main pilot itself, the co-pilot is not able to handle the issue. He might feel stressed. She might feel stressed. She doesn't know how to handle a situation. If there is an unprecedented weather condition or phenomena happening or in a critical state as such, they can't handle the situation properly, because of which they are not trained properly enough, and odd hours of flight, as I have told you, and no proper rest between the flights. India has actually one of the worst set of rules in the flight and aviation duty times as such. And also these pilots, in between of these, they take medications. Like even if we are UPSC aspirants, we are stressed as well. To increase our study hours, we might take medications as well. But the problem here is that they might have side effects. They are not consulted and taken. So these medications are also cause side effects for these pilots. So if we're looking more than 60 years ago, a scientific study was actually proven that the stress level during an approach to landing, especially in adverse weather condition, is much more. It can actually raise the heart levels of more than 240 beats per minute in the case of a pilot, because as we are the passengers, we don't know what is going on. We will be sitting in the aircraft and we will see the landing. But from a pilot point of view, he has to go through a lot. He has to set the directions correctly. He has to set the wind provisions. He has to see the present weather conditions and such to land perfectly. So all this tension, all this stress actually increases his heartbeat, because of which he will be very stressed and anxious. So if he has to undertake such flights, he just not be landing 1 flight per day, he might be landing 4 to 5 flights per day. So these conditions cause a lot of health issues for him. Fatigue level of a human actually differs in different times of the day, and the circulation law comes into play in the hours that fall from midnight to sunrise. Now these are some of the terminology or scientific aspects of what happens in a health phenomena and such. And also the number of landings pilot perform during his duty time also adds to the fatigue level that he feels. Sleep deprivation and micro sleep conditions for between 5 to 15 seconds during the approach and landing phase will also be identified as a cause for accident. Now these are all the phenomenal body features or health features of the pilots as such, because they are so overstrained, they are sleep deprived, and because of which it actually increases the level of accidents and also makes a lot of issues for the passengers who are such. So the Ministry of Civil Aviation has to take proper measures, so that they have to decrease the flight hours, or how much they have to actually reduce the number of flight hours that a person has to take, 8 hours per week, 100 hours per month, 1000 hours per year. So these are some of the conditions that they have to actually put on the pilots and the company so that the pilots get actually adequate rest. Between two flights, the pilot should have like 8 hours of sleep or 8 hours of rest so that they will be actually healthy again to take another flight. So in the outside we might see that they have a rich lifestyle. What they have to do, they just have to just like take to the sky, put in automation mode and they could relax. But before that, there is a lot of issues happening with the personal health of the pilots itself. So it's very important that we actually handle the situation more correctly because the pilot has the life of more than 200 plus passengers in his hand. So it's very important that there is adequate sleep for him. Moving on to the next topic, we have the driest August ever. So if you are looking, the news report and the weather experts states that the August might be the driest. Last month I told you July might be the driest. Now the August is again the driest, which means that we have extreme weather conditions and phenomena increasing per day per month. So India has actually received less than 7% of the monsoon rainfall as per the long period average, which we usually get the period in month, we actually got 7% less of rainfall, and that is 100 millimeter less rainfall in the month of August, which is very low since the year 1901. So that is what this article deals about. So like looking, the kharif and the rabi crops in India predominantly actually depends a lot on our monsoon, southwest monsoon. So with the less rain, the kharif and the rabi crops also get affected. But another side view is that the irrigation has increased, so because of which even though there is less rainfall, we are not facing actually any reduction in productivity. So that is what this actually states about. The paper shows the southwest monsoon continues to play a major factor for both kharif and rabi crops. The others are just data, you just can read through it. Now moving on to the main part of the slide, if you are looking here, looking in the average rainfall pattern, despite receiving below average rainfalls in India, the productivity has not actually, the production of the food grains and rice has consistently grown each year, which means that apart from depending upon the southwestern monsoon, we are also increasing our irrigations. There is a changing in trend. The paper argues there might be, the states are improving in the irrigation. You see the X that portrays the rain patterns, that red shows the rice production and the blue shows the food grains. Even if the rainfall is less, we can actually see an increase in the production of food grains and such. Now, the statewide percentage of net sown area. If you are comparing 2 years difference, the blue is 1990s and the red is 2020. So the net sown area within India has actually grown. You can see there is an increase in the net area sown. Even if there is reduction in the rainfall patterns, we have actually increased the food grain productions in India because there has been an increase in the area of production as such. Now, if you are looking the rainfall deviations from the long period average and the change in rice production, like if you are comparing the states like Assam, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Odisha, what they state is that even like they do not depend a lot on irrigation. So with the reduction of the rainfall, they have actually shown a reduction in their production. They have the rice production typically decreased during the periods because of insufficient rainfall and they didn't take place of any alternative like irrigation. If you are looking in the states like Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, even if there was decrease in the rainfall, but there was increase in production because they were utilizing often increase even during the periods of low rainfall because they were depending upon irrigation. They are better irrigated states. So that is what the whole article talks about. It talks about our over dependence of some states in the case of southwest monsoon and the other states over exploitation of the irrigation so that they could increase their productivity. That was a small article. Now moving, new frictionless credit system of RBI. So I'll tell you with a small example. Now I am a person who wants to take a loan. So I'll approach a bank. So what will the bank look for? He will be looking at the past documents, past loans I have taken. If I have borrowed the loan, if I had repaid back correctly, he would check if I have repaid the principal, interest and everything. It is a lot of paperwork and takes about weeks to months to actually clear that loan process for me. So what the RBI is looking for is to create a frictionless credit system by which I could get my credit or loan much faster. So like it also means that like It's basically like making everything digitalized and making all the documentations available to in a single platform. The problem here, the problem was the documentation or the verification or the proof for the CIBIL score. Everything is in different documentation with different ministries and different banks, some with the central government, some with the state government, some with the other banks. So the documentation was actually between each and every between different departments. So because of which my loan clearance takes a lot of time. So the frictionless platform here claims to put every documentation together into a single panel so that I get the credit system that is available. All my borrowing history, all my credit score, CIBIL score, if I have actually properly paid back the due and everything will be actually under the single platform, and the new banking system which actually wants to give me loan could actually check this data and give me this credit without any paperwork, without any time delay. Within 1 day my loan will be sanctioned. So that is what this entire talks about. It actually creates a, this all documentation actually creates hindrance. So this hindrance will be reduced by the frictionless giving of credit system by formulating everything, every documentation in a single panel. Now this has been actually started with the frictionless and timely delivery of loans, and it was actually started regulated by institution of for digitalizing of Kisan credit cards. It was first actually shown on how it works in the Kisan credit card, then it has been extended to giving loans to other farmers for MSMEs and so that they get the loans that is required more easily. Also this digitalization of this frictionless credit card will be actually expected to link with other services like Aadhaar, EYC, Aadhaar e-signing, land records from abroad, PAN validation, satellite data, everything that this digitalized single panel will be accounted with as well. It improves the access of information, like from a borrower's point of view and also from a banking point of view. It is important that there is frictionless transmission of data as well as the getting of credit for me. So it actually improves my experience as a customer. It actually makes the, it will make the work easier from a actually point of bank employee as well. So this actually improves the access of information, provides the basic facts based and quick credit assessment systems as well. The borrowers too would actually benefit from resulting lower cost, because like we have to travel between each and every agencies, we have to go to the bank, we have to come back, there is a lot of travel time and money constraints happening here. So with this digitalization everything will be quick and easy. Now moving on to our next topic, we have acoustic side channel attacks. So before going to this, we need to know what is a side channel attack and then come back to acoustic side channel attack. Now recently a publication has come out called a practical deep learning based acoustic side channel attack on keyboards. Now with the increase in the development of artificial intelligence, this kind of attacks has been increasing. So first let us look into the side channel attack systems. So you see here, this is a person who is communicating using some electronic media. Now there is an attacker, he actually gets the data of this person and then uses data to target the computer or anything of that employee to gain money, access, etc. So this is actually a method of hacking. Hacking like cryptographic algorithm using these kinds of like emitted signals performed using the collection of signals which is emitted by a device, including electromagnetic waves, power consumption, mobile sensors, everything actually emits a certain kind of signal. So what this actually do is collect the signal, actually changes that to an encrypted password or key, and then they could actually use this key or encryption to actually attack this person's computer or his belonging, get his assets, money, etc. So that is what it is. When you coming back to acoustics, we are typing in a keyboard. Like let's see, if we are actually typing our PIN in an ATM, like each kind of key will actually emit a different kind of signal. If I press 1, it will emit a certain kind of signal. Press 2, it emits a certain kind of signal. So each key has a certain kind of signal. So what it is an electronic device will actually record this signaling and then it will get converted into the correct state. The one, this sound actually goes to the signal 1, this sound goes to signal 2, by which they could actually get the number, and then because of which they could actually get the money. That is typing the PIN keystrokes, it actually generates an acoustic sound and we can actually predict the PIN number, generating the code, and the person can steal all the money from the bank. So that is how it works. So if you are looking like for the side channel, like this is sensitive data, it should actually go from a legal channel to the correct receiver, but there is actually a side channel here created, because of which these data get leaked and the attacker eavesdrops this issue and he actually get the information. So that is the side channel attack and how the acoustic personally actually works. So with the increase in the artificial intelligence, with the development of the laptops, certain emits of the sound that has been created by the keyboards, acoustics has been increasing. That is what is entirely acoustic this is about. The sound or the click generated by a keyboard is actually used to analyze the keystroke and interpret what the password or key code is. While most users actually hide the screen, when we are actually in an ATM, if there is a person in the back, we would actually hide our pin code. But with this, we are not able to do it. Even with the sound, they could actually convert it to the pin code that is created. Even if we hide our passwords also, is no use, because with this electrical, they will actually get the password. So, and over time, the development of the technology and the acoustics can be accessed and processed has been improved drastically. Additionally, the use of laptop has actually increased the scope of this kind of attacks, and laptop models have the same keyboard, making it easier for the AI enabled deep learning models to actually pick up and interpret the acoustics. So that is what happening, especially if you are using laptop, you are highly susceptible to such kind of attack, because both the laptops and the AI enabled deep learning actually use the same kind of keyboard setups and systems. How to be safe from such kind of attacks? So like we have to also look into that. Before that, the accuracy, like if you see that it's just sound and then it's emitting the correct kind of password, the accuracy is actually about 95%. That is what what the researchers actually have stated about this. This kind of attacks is not new. This has been prevalent in the 1950s. The United States has actually given out a lot of regulations to control it. But with the development of artificial intelligence, such kind of side attacks actually resurfacing, and it's actually creating a lot more trouble to many other persons. With the increase of use of artificial intelligence and the new accuracy with which the deep learning models are created, such kind of attacks are becoming resurfacing again, especially since users doesn't know or they don't take ample precautions, because we don't know if somebody is actually leaking data from me. With this typing, I won't even know, because I don't have that kind of protection or that kind of precaution with me. So the people are susceptible to such attacks. Now, how to protect it again? If you are actually using touch-based typing, the sounds won't be emitted, such kind of signals won't be emitted with which they can actually encrypt the password or keyword. Then, changing the typing style and creating a stronger password. Now, the password is something which the AI platform or this system cannot actually find. That will be a very strong password. You have to actually use a mix of lot of alphabets, lot of keywords, lot of numbers and such, and also changing the typing style. Now, if you are creating the password in everything the lower case, it will be more susceptible to such kind of attack. But if you are mixing it with the uppercase and lowercase, it will actually generate some kind of confusion within this AI system. This AI system can't actually take or realize the difference between uppercase and a lowercase alphabet. It's just actually the typing. Keystroke would be actually identified by such kind of devices. But if it's using uppercase or lowercase, that kind of stroke won't be actually identified by these kind of AI system. So it's important that we have a mixed kind of typing style and also create a stronger password that cannot be identified or that cannot be actually recognized by these AI models. And another method is that we can actually manage IT provider services who can actually address such kind of issues, like we have to educate the employees that such kind of attacks could happen. We need proper protection system and monitoring software. We need to update our softwares every time so that this kind of attacks can be prevented. We need to actually implement physical security system and also security assessment to identify and mitigate such kind of vulnerabilities. So these are some of the application as such. So if you are actually getting a question in science and tech about the growing of attacks and something, this is a new kind of side attack system which you can mention. And these are some actual prevention methods which you can write, rather than writing some general, like you can actually use a protection system, you can use virus protection as such. This would be a better conclusion or better measures that you can actually write in your answers. Now moving on to our last topic, we have the Luna 25 crash landing. Now this was Luna 25 was to actually land on moon on August 21, but in August 19 they actually lost communication with the spacecraft, and it actually an abnormal situation was created where this Luna 25 went off the orbit system and it then crash landed into the moon. So because of which they are actually still going on what actually happened with the Luna 25. The apparatus moved into an unpredicted orbit and as a result it actually crash landed onto the surface of the moon. This Luna 25 was the first mission of Russia. The last mission was actually launched by the Soviet Union in 1976. As of Russia, this was the first mission of Russia to the moon, that is Luna 25. Only and this was to the south pole of moon. Even Chandrayaan 3, which is going to land on Wednesday, is to the south pole. The south pole, they are particularly interested scientists because there is no sunlight in that part of the moon. The light doesn't reach there, because of which we can actually find a lot of difference in the water, the frozen water containment, the polar craters. That would actually help in the future exploration of the south pole as such. The failure of Luna 25, the Russia's first moon mission since 1976, underscores the decline of Russia's space power status. Only Russia, China and US has actually successfully managed to do moon landings before. India Chandrayaan 1-2 was actually not complete success. So because of which only these three, Soviet Union, US and China, has actually landed successfully in moon before, and Russia is actually the Soviet Union, which successfully landed in 1976. So in Wednesday we will be getting further update of what happens with Chandrayaan 3, Chandrayaan C is landed successfully or not. That will be a big news on Wednesday. So this was it for today. Thank you and have a nice day. You can get the PDF from our Telegram channel, Garant IAS. I'll be seeing you again tomorrow. Thank you.